All right, so welcome back to chapter 6. We're going to talk about reports, okay? Now, reports like we've seen before, right? Pretty much covers in every single chapter because every single chapter is actually a department or it's some kind of position in a typical business, right? You got the sales, you got person who's in charge of the employees, you got person who's in charge of someone who's in charge of inventory, someone in charge of the banking. You all have some kind of position in regards to each section that we've covered so far. Now, this one right here, this report is specifically geared towards the general accountant, okay? The accountant. So again, if you are applying for this position in a company, this section is very important because this is the necessary reports that you have to do at the end of every given accounting period, right? So here, what kind of reports can you do? How do you view them? How do you create them? So in this case, right, if you're following along with me, you should be on reports 21. But in this case, I decided you don't really need to open up that one. You can continue with chapter 5 if you would like. It doesn't really matter because reports are going to be subjective to the material that you've uploaded, right? So every time you enter in data into the QuickBooks, what it does is it's collecting information, and what the reports do is takes all the information that it's collected and forms it in a way that makes it easy to read in some kind of form like a report. Okay, that's all it is. It's not necessarily you need to have this type of files in there or this type of content in there, right? At the end of the day, you can still create all of these same exact reports using any of the files above, okay? But if you are following along, you can choose to either continue on with me with chapter 5 or you can open up reports. Your answers are just going to be a little different, okay? So let's talk about finding transactions. Well, there are a couple ways that you can find a transaction, right? So we're going to be talking about the very first one, which is going to be using either the find button or you can use the so every single form has this little find area that has the front and the backwards forwards arrow, so left and right arrows, right? Usually, yes, you can find a transaction by clicking the back button, okay? Now, if you're looking for our particular one, I would definitely not recommend use this way just because what if I'm not looking for this one? I'm looking for Maria Cruz. How many times do I have to click on that button to find that transaction, right? You're better off actually locating or finding that transaction by simply going towards the actual customer center, right? Because if you already know it's going to be Maria Cruz, then you can identify it right here by going onto her list of transactions. Now, right now, she shows zero balance. Even if I were to click on this and click all, there you go. Now I can see everything that she's done so far. That's one way that you can be able to locate it that way too. But I've also mentioned this quite a few times. In each center, right? So you have a vendor center and the customer center. You can identify them based on what you did with that customer. So if you're looking for an invoice in particular, that's where you can go ahead and locate it here as well by clicking on invoices, right? And be able to identify it that way as well. So if I were to click on invoices, right, this is what will appear that I have done so far. And you can either go towards the person or something like that. Now let's say you just don't know the person at all and you'd say, I remember I put in an invoice. It's her name must be, or its name must be Cruz, maybe Maria. I don't know. You can use this toggle up here, right? There's this one that can search anything and everything in QuickBooks. So whether you put in a name, you could put in an invoice number. But I mean, I wouldn't go as far as looking up a product, right? You might as well just do a sell by item report and go there and see who you sold those products to. That would probably be your best bet to do. But if you can't remember that transaction, you can always just type in the name. So I'm going to type in Cruz, press and enter. And what's going to do is it's going to look up all the transactions that have occurred based on Maria. Okay, so here, now it tells me there isn't any, but you just have to just redo it. Okay, and it should populate everything here for you. Okay, so in here, let's see, we got no trans, so let's type that in Cruz again. Okay, C-R-U-Z. So it says here there's no results, which, you know, we already know that. Okay, it's probably because I have my cap locks on. C-R-U-Z. Okay, so cap locks. Okay. Okay, it's not showing me anything. How about Bob? Let's do it again. Huh. Anyways, it should be popping up a few things, such as Bob, because obviously we've seen Bob's transactions very often here. I don't know why it's not popping up, but it should be popping up a bunch of invoices. So here it tells me, okay, well, for what do you want to look through? Checks, okay? It should show me all the results for Maria Cruz. Okay, it could be because I'm on a different file here. But it should show me that I should have Cruz in here. So Cruz. All right, and I just selected all of them, but apparently she's not showing up, which is strange because I just looked up her profile. She has a whole bunch of stuff here. So again, if I were to click on this, right, if I want to look up the transaction too, see, I have Bob Mason, so I don't even know why he didn't show up on that list. Cruz Maria, right there. She showed up. So it's supposed to work. You're supposed to be able to type in something and it should scan the whole QuickBooks to be able to pop up. I don't know why it's not working right now, but we can see right here through the transaction list. Cruz Maria is one of them. Bob Mason has like 3. So I don't know why it didn't show up, but it should work on this. Okay, so that's another way that you can scour the QuickBooks for anything that you're looking for a particular transaction. Okay. See, you're supposed to type in this, and see, you're supposed to type in Cruz, it's supposed to pop up something. But it didn't pop up on my end, all right? Next one is going to be quick reports. What are quick reports? Quick reports is really easy information that you can essentially pick up anywhere. Now, quick reports can be done for anything that's on a chart of accounts, anything that's a generated on a list. Okay, you could even do it for registers as well as forms. Okay, so what are quick reports? Quick reports gives you just a really easy sum up of whatever it is that's on that profile, right, or that data that you are selecting. So for instances, right, if I want to do a quick report on my chart of accounts, right, we said that we mentioned this before, right? My assets, liabilities, and equities have registers, right? They also too have quick reports, but my income and my expenses are just quick reports. What do I mean by that? So if you remember, if I double click on an asset, liability, or equity account, it will pop up my register. If I were to go ahead and click on a random expense account, double click on it, this is what a quick report does. It just gives you a summary of whatever happened in that expense. Now I'm going to adjust it and select all. Nope, nothing there. Okay, so let's go to income then. Income. Let's go look at sales. Okay, right now we don't have any sales, but let's go ahead and toggle this and change it. If I were to click all, it will populate all the sales that I have created for this entire basically January all the way to February, right? That's all the amounts of sales I have collected. Now, again, this is just a quick report, meaning it's just going to pull up all the information right there for you in a nice, quick manner. That's all it is. Gives you a sum of all the information right there. Okay? Now, again, expenses and income have quick reports, but you can also run quick reports for an asset, liability, and an equity account. So let's go ahead and take a look at my checking account, right? I can't double click on it because that's going to take me to my register, but let's say I want to do a quick report on it. If you go down to the bottom of the window, you see this little reports tab. If I go ahead and click on it, I can create a to do a quick report on this checking account. And boom, gives me a list of all the transactions, okay, and how much money I have now. All right, so again, a quick report just gives you a quick summary of everything. Now, as you can you see my icon? It is a Z with a magnifier glass on it. We call that quick zoom. So for instance, right, I have a whole bunch of checking accounts. I have a deposit here. I have a check here. If I take my mouse and I click on that using my little icon here that has the little magnifier glass with the Z on it, we call that a zoom, a quick zoom. If I were to double click on that, it's going to populate the transaction for me right here. This is called the quick zoom feature, where you can, while you're in a report, you can pull up a transaction right there. So in this case, I wrote a check out. Here is my check. All right, and that's what a quick zoom feature does, is it allows you to blow up the information into full details by pulling up whatever transaction it is. Okay, so that's how you do a quick report on accounts. Now, as I mentioned before, you can do that for items. You can do that for anything that's in a list. You can do that for people as well. So again, I won't spend time on the items because we'll talk about items in chapter 8, which is tomorrow. But I'll go ahead and talk about the people. Yes.
I just want to go back to the search command. We just need to click the update search information, and it will upload the whatever we're looking for, and it will show you the list of the invoices. That blue underline, yeah, that one.
Okay, yeah, there you go. Thank you. Okay, so there you go. Going back to this, so we're going to talk about people, right? We're going to talk about people. So if I were to, let's go to my customer center. Since I like to pick on Bob Mason so much, let's run a quick report on him. How do I do that? Well, he's part of a list, right? He's in a list of my customers. How do I run a report on just Bob Mason? Well, right here, I click on his name, right? Here's all the transactions that I listed right here. If I want to see this in a report, in a quick report, I can go down to the bottom and it says right here, run reports, right? And I can view as a report. This is a quick report on Bob Mason. So gives him who he is, gives him a track record of all the transactions he's done with me, and how much money he owes me. So again, you can do a lot of quick reports for a lot of things, but make sure it belongs in one of those 4 categories that is listed in your book. Okay? All right. Any questions so far? So those are quick reports. Yes. No? All right. So let's actually talk about the different types of reports. There are 2 important different types of reports, okay? One of them is accounting, and the other one is called business management reports. So everything that we've done so far in chapters 2, chapters 3, chapter 4, chapter 5 as well, right? What we've been doing is we're looking at business management reports, okay? These are reports done based on your sales, your items, right? In this case, right, you could run your reports based on something that has to do with your business and how you can further come to conclusions to either expand your sales section, expand your customers' information. Those are things that you're going to be taking into consideration to build your business around, are going to be your business management ones. So again, all the chapters that are here, right, are all going to be focusing in regards to the business management. In today's class, we're going to talk about the accounting reports. The accounting reports is based on the list on your chart of accounts, okay? Those are going to be reports based on the accounts in your chart of accounts in a mannerful way. Now, the best way we can view these is going to be your 4 financial statements. In QuickBooks, there's only 3 because 2 of them are combined. But the number 1 is your profit and loss. Your profit and loss is very important because that will determine whether your business is making money or not. Okay? Second is going to be your statement of equity, right? Seeing if you choose to reinvest money into your company after making a profit, what is the value of your company? 3 is your balance sheet. Your balance sheet is going to give you a list of your assets, liabilities, and your equity. And what you're doing there is you're testing the accounting equation, right? Hence the word balance sheet, right? You're balancing an equation, which is going to be the accounting equation, which is the fundamental backbone of all businesses, right? We've already learned that in chapter 1, which is your assets equaling your liabilities plus your equity. And then the 4th one is going to be your statement of cash flows, right? Seeing where your money is going. Is it flowing in? Where is it flowing in from? It's flowing in from sales, right? But where is the money dispersed out to, right? What are you spending money on? Okay, so those are the 4 important financial statements in accounting. In QuickBooks, they combine the statement of equity with the balance sheet because, again, your equity is part of the the accounting equation. Your assets equal your liabilities plus your equity. So you'll find out what your statement of equity is through the balance sheet. So in QuickBooks, there's only 3 main ones: your profit and loss, your balance sheet, and your statement of cash flows. Okay? And those are going to be the most important financial statements that an accountant must do at the end of the accounting period. Okay? So, yes. So those are what determines the 2 different types of reports that exist. Now, we're going to talk about cash versus accrual basis. What does this mean? So if you remember in chapter 1, right, we kind of briefly went over what a cash basis is versus an accrual basis, right? Cash basis is very straightforward. It is the most easiest way to run a business because you only record sales when you receive cash, and you only record expenses when you actually have the cash readily available to spend. So that means you only report when cash is either in front of you or has left you, right? That's the idea of what a cash basis does. It really shows how much money is actually going into your company versus how much money is actually leaving your company. Where an accrual type basis, right, allows us to record income when we earn something. Doesn't matter whether we received money or not, right? The fact that we sold something, we're going to record saying, yes, that's part of my sales. I sold something to a customer, even though I didn't get paid for it. I still sold something at the end of the day, right? That's the accrual basis, where you're going to take figures into consideration whether or not you have cash or not. So in this case, you could be calculating things using invisible money. So that's why an accounts payable, an accounts receivable account, right, is definitely going to be some kind of accounts, some kind of accrual basis type of reporting. Okay. Now the options here in QuickBooks allows you to toggle between the cash and accrual basis. So how do I actually toggle that in there? By default, QuickBooks is automatically going to set all your reports, including the way that you run your business. It's automatically going to be default settings to an accrual type of accounting. So in this case, when we get to our preferences, you're going to click accounting and you're going to click on company. So, I'm sorry, you're going to click on reports, my bad, reports. Okay, and you're going to click on company. So here, it allows you to choose. You want the reports and everything that you do in the business to be run on an account, on accrual or cash. Now, if you choose to use the cash basis, I'm going to tell you this. You're only going to be using your banking account at that point, right? None of the functions, because if you're only accepting cash and you're only paying if you have cash, you're only going to be limited to only the banking section of your pretty much QuickBooks, right? And maybe some things in your company, right? If you sell a product, then you're going to use items in your accounts. But what I mean is that you're only limited to just the banking section, right? Because all you're doing is you're going to be collecting your sales, putting in your bank account, and you're paying only if you have cash. So that defeats the purpose of why we have QuickBooks, okay? So that's why if you are using your company or you're keeping track using the accrual basis, right, you will end up maximizing your capabilities and all the functions you can use in QuickBooks. Because again, if you're able to record invisible money, such as an invoice, or pay or record a bill even though you haven't paid it yet, right? Those are going to be considered accrual type of base of accounting, and those will help you maximize the functionalities of QuickBooks. So by default, it is actually going to be an accrual type of accounting. But you can switch it to cash. Just know that you are going to be limited in transactions, okay? Now, of course, not only can you toggle it that way too, I'm going to show you when we actually run our reports that you can actually toggle them quite much more quickly and easily instead of having to go through the edit preferences window, okay? So let's take a look at our very first report here, okay? So we're going to take a look at our first report, which is going to be we're going to focus on accounting, right? All our business management is going to be done throughout the rest of this chapter, throughout the rest of the book, right? So in this case, the first one I'm going to take a look at is going to be my profit and loss. So again, that tests for profitability. That's going to be one of the most important things that you want to test for, because is your business generating enough money to cover all of the expenses? That is definitely something you want to ask the company itself. But again, only the general accountant's going to be the most responsible for that one at the end of the accounting period. Okay? So let's go ahead and talk about how I'm able to run those reports. Now, this is where I'm going to be introducing you to the Report Center. Okay? You're able to access the Report Center simply by going up to the reports on the menu. Okay? Here you have access to all the reports, but you also have the options to go to the Report Center. And you're also able to find that as well on your icon bar. Okay? It should be a default setting to have your reports on here. Okay? So let me find it. Feedback. Reminders right here. Reports. Okay? So if I click on this, this is what the Report Center should look like. It looks like this. Okay? You have 3 ways that you can view them. So it's really cool. So if you choose Carousel, which is the first one, this is only recommended if you have a fast processor and you have a higher gigabyte RAM. Because if you don't, as you can see, take a look. If I were to switch between them, you can kind of see it's kind of moving very slow. But if you have a nice graphics card, okay, this can move a lot fluidly. It will look a lot smoother, and it's really cool because you get to kind of swipe to the left, swipe to the right, and take a look at what type of reports you're able to create. Okay, so that's carousel view. The second one's going to be list view, where it's literally in a list. Okay, this one to me is very boring, but it does help you get to the point. And it's based on the topic. So again, if I want to do something in sales, this is the list of all the sales reports I can do. Okay, but if I want a combination between, so I can kind of see like a little overview, I can choose grid view. Okay, if I do grid view under sales, right at the very top gives me the title of what it is. So this is sales by customer summary, right? It gives me a brief overview of what that report looks like. So if you are, I don't know, first time beginner or someone who's trying to build your company and you're not quite sure what kind of report you're looking for, this is probably the best view that you could have because it even gives you info. So if I don't know what this is, I can click on info and it will give me a rundown of what this report entails. So right here, what is this total sales for each customer? So it gives you that much information, right? Great. And then of course, you can either run it, you can favor it, or you can ask help. Now, here's where I can also toggle the dates too, right? And let's go ahead and do, let's do the first one. So sales by customer. So if I go ahead and click run, this is what happens, right? It starts to run the report. Now, because the time frame is right now, I didn't put any transactions as of today. So I would have to actually toggle these dates to get the correct dates, okay? So that's where we're going to start moving into how we can customize our reports, okay? So again, that's the cool option here is that if you choose not to go on list, because if you go to list, right, or the reports list or reports menu, everything's in the form of a list, right? You're not going to know unless you're in the position of it, right? And since every single chapter tells you exactly which section to be in, right? It tells you what category you're looking at. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first report that we want to do, which is a company and it's a company and company. I think it's company and financials, right? Company and financials. Let's see where it is. I have accounting and taxes, customers, and right here, companies and financials, right? This is where I get the most important 3 top statements I told you, right? Profit and loss, balance sheet, and statement of cash flows. You can even run a profit and loss based on categories, right? You could say based on by job, by class, right? So let's take a look at my class. So here's what it shows me. Now, as I mentioned before, right, you can toggle the reports based on cash or accrual basis right here. So I can actually see how much actual cash I'm actually receiving versus how much cash I just sold, right? And you can customize it by toggling the dates. Maybe I want to see all of it. Maybe I want a specific time frame. Maybe I want it from January. Maybe I want it from January 1st of 2021 all the way to the end of January 1st, January 31st of 2021. Okay? And then what I can do here is I'm also able to refresh it to get the correct answer, to get the correct report. So this is what it can do. I can customize it based on a time frame. I can do that, or I can choose all. So in this case, let me do all of them. Okay, so this is for everything that's in this current QuickBooks. Okay, and right now, let's take a look at my report. So I have overhead, San Jose, and Walnut Creek. So profit and loss. Let's take a look at the profit and loss in my San Jose location. I currently have a positive $2,011, while I have in Walnut Creek $1,595. Okay, that's under the accrual basis. Let's actually switch it to an actual cash basis. How much actual money am I actually receiving? So let's take a look and compare it to San Jose. For San Jose, for actual cash, I'm negative 2011. That means I'm at a loss. Okay? While here on my Walnut Creek, I have a positive $1,175. So that means in this case, overall, which store is actually doing better? From here till today, or for all the information here, it seems like my Walnut Creek location is doing way much better than my San Jose location on a cash basis. I'm generating more money through my Walnut Creek location than I am in my San Jose location. But if I flipped and reverse it and say it's an accrual basis, then right here it's showing that my San Jose is doing significantly better than my Walnut Creek location. So again, this is what you can do to take a look at this report and further customize it. Okay? You can go as far as even printing these out. Okay? You have a choice. You can either print it as a PDF, or you can print it the report out from your actual printer. Okay? You can even email it. Okay? So if you want to send it, you can send it as a PDF, or you can send it as Excel. So as I mentioned before, right? Intuit and Microsoft, they are compatible. They work hand in hand together because they make it that much more easy to transfer information from an Excel spreadsheet into QuickBooks. Okay? Because they are compatible. Now, a lot of products nowadays are compatible with Microsoft. Okay, so that's what this cool thing here is. You can email it as an Excel file sheet, or you can email it as a PDF. You can even export it as an Excel spreadsheet, because what can you do with Excel? You can further organize the information. So for example, right, in this case, imagine photography, right? I can't really do much about what the report looks like. As you can see here, right, look at the columns, look at the headings. I can't really do much in regards to making changes to them, okay? Or in this case, I can't really change the column, the width, or anything like that, okay? So how can I further do that? I can do that by exporting it to Excel, okay? And of course, you can even refresh it. So we talked about that. All right. So that's what happens when you have a report. You have a lot of flexibility on what you can do with a report. You can either export it, import it, or you can't import. You can only export to Excel. You can mail it, right, or send it. You can even print it, okay? So that's what's cool about that. So that's what the profit and loss is. It's an example of what you can do for a profit and loss report. You could do a balance sheet report. Again, it just really depends on what you're doing in regards to the company. Okay? Now, another one I want to show you is going to be a trial balance. Now, for those of you who read chapter 12, it always asks for some kind of trial balance to help you be able to create your opening balances. Well, how do I create a trial balance? This is where I'm going to be answering your question today. Now, of course, if you go to company and financials, that's only going to show you your financial statements. What about the other accounting reports? That's where you're going to go to accountant and taxes. And this is where you can create your trial balance. You can create your general ledger account. So this is going to show you all your account balances in your general ledger, right? If you run a trial balance, right, that's going to test whether you did your accounting correctly. Now, because this is virtually an application where you're putting all the information in there, of course it's going to be accurate. Okay? This is to test so then you have your account balances, but you know what the debits and credits are. Okay? So this is how you need to create this, or in this case, if you're our pre-existing company, you need to have this from your accountant for you to be able to create your company file with the appropriate account balances. And that's what you have to do. Okay, this is the trial balance. And this is one of the necessary steps just to ensure the accuracy of your accounting. Okay? All right, so there you go. Those are the necessary things that you have to do as the general accountant, is run these financial statements as well as these other reports such as your trial balance to be able to start the next accounting period off on the right foot. Okay. So that is pretty much it there. Now let's talk about, again, another example of a business management. Okay. Now, again, anything that that had to deal with an account is going to be a business management, right? It's things that you can use to be able to further your business, whether it's in profits or whether it's in, or sorry, not profits, but whether it's in sales or whether it's in whether it's in sales or whether it's your customers' information. Those are going to be business management. Now I'm going to show you an example here that I could do. It's going to be under list, right? And we can create, let's create the customer contact list, right? So how can I use this as a business management? In this case, right, I can send marketing materials, right? If I want to increase my sales, how do I do that? Well, I can do that by sending promotional discounts, promotional sales, right? Send a weekly ad saying, guess what, guys? We have a special discount for, I don't know, what's coming up here, Memorial Day weekend, Mother's Day weekend, whatever holiday that is coming up, right? You can create some kind of marketing flyer and be able to send it out to your customers to pull in those sales. Okay? You can you can give it to anybody, right? As long as they are on your customer contact list. Now, in this case, I'm looking at this report, right? There's too much information in here. I don't need to have the customer's full name. I don't need to have their account balances. All I need is just their mailing address and maybe a phone number to contact. How can I further customize this in a way to make this report shortened enough to give me the information that I need? That's where we're going to talk about customizing your reports. Well, how do I customize for my reports? Straightforward. You have this button at the top of your window that says Customize Reports. So if I click on that, what happens here? You have 4 tabs that you can customize. First one is going to be display. What do you want to appear or show on your report? Well, let's take a look, okay? Right now, these are all the items that are listed on my columns that are currently displaying on my actual report right now, okay? So first off, I don't want a left align. I don't want a customer. I don't want their balance information. However, yes, I would like to know whether I need to address them as a Mr. or Mrs. Okay, because if I'm sending mail, right, it'd be proper to address them by whether they're Mr. or Mrs. You can also address them by their first name, and you can address them by their last name. If you need to contact them, you can contact them via phone number, so whatever is the main one. But I don't need their fax number. What else information would you need? You would definitely need to have some kind of mailing address. So in this case, do I want a primary contact? No. Okay. Do I want any bill to dates? Bill to locations? No. But I would like to know what their street is, what their city, state, and zip code are, right? Because I'm sending marketing materials, and that's pretty much all the information. Now let's take a look. As I do that, it's creating it for me. So I do have a bill to. So if I don't want the bill to, I can actually get rid of that. Let's see, where's my bill to? So I have my street. Okay, so I took out my bill to. So let's see, took out all of that. Okay, so what about fonts? You can even change the fonts to this as well. Like for example, right? I want to change, so that's filters. Filters are going to be things that you want to filter your customers' information based on whether they fit a criteria or not. So I want to change it. I want to see who the ones that are being emailed, right? I can filter them based on those information. But if I want to change my fonts, so headers and footers. So basically, this is what I want the top line to say. I wanted to say Imagine Photography, and I want to have the date on there, customer contact list. I'm going to change this to mailing or promo mailing address list. Okay? And I want to change the font and color to it. Because what if your company is not blue, right? I can change the font color to this if I really wanted to. So I clicked on fonts and numbers, right? And let's say, what do I want? Let's see. We can do the company. Let's see. Report date. I don't want that. Let's see what I want to change. What do I want to make the font for? You could do the row label. So fonts. What if I want to change my company name and change the font for it? I should be able to. So I click on fonts here. Let's see. Okay, so here, company name. So right now it's currently blue and it's in this random font. I can change it and say my company colors is this maroon red, okay? And I want to make my font this, we could do this font right here, and we can make it a bigger size. We can make it this to be size 36. Let me see. What font do I want to use? We can use Castella Century, Comic, Copperplate, right? And I click OK, right? And I click changes are related to fonts, yes. So once I've done that, right? Once I go ahead and click on OK, what happens is it starts changing the fonts. And look at this. It has the Mr., it has the first name, last name, and it has their street address with the city and the state, as well as the zip code. This is perfect for an Imagine Photography type of report. So this one says bank reconciliation. I don't know why it says bank reconciliation. Let me go ahead and change that. So title. So fonts and titles, right? Imagine Photography. I don't need this right here. I just need Imagine Photography, right? And it's the promo mailing address, and I can click OK. So there you go. There you go. Promo, mailing address list, and everything is set for you. And guess what? You can save this file. Okay? And how do I save it? I click memorize. Okay? When I click memorize reports, I need to put a name on it. So right here, promo mailing address list. Perfect. All right. Do I want to save it in a memorized report group? Maybe you should. I'm going to save it under my customers. Okay. And do I want to share this report template with others? No, I don't. Okay. And I'm going to click OK. So once you've done that, it took a picture of this. Now that's what you can do when you're customizing it. But let's say you notice this, my columns are all over the place, right? I have a huge gap in between my my main phone number and my street address. What if I want to make changes to that? That's where Excel's going to come into play for you to further customize, and that's what I was talking about earlier, okay? But what if I want to redo this? What if I close this window out and I want to redo another mailing address? Maybe it's further down the line. We have a July 4th sale coming up. How am I able to find that mailing order list that I just saved? Okay? So how would I be able to do that? You need to go to your report center. Okay? On your report center, right, you have these 5 tabs at the top. You have your standard reports, which basically give you a list of all the reports that you can do, right? You have your memorized reports. So this is where I put it. I put it under customers. If I scroll all the way down, it should be the last thing that I added on here. There you go. Promo mailing list. And if I double click on it, it saved everything the way I customized it. Okay? So let's say I want to further make more changes. Maybe I want to change something else to this. Then you can go ahead and make your changes, customize it, and re-memorize it. And you can either choose to replace it or create another memorized report. So that's the cool feature about this is just because you create one and you customize it, that doesn't mean you have to redo it again. You can save it and recreate it at any given time. Okay? It's under the memorized reports list on the report center. And if you chose favorites, so remember that little heart icon that you can favor a report. If you do, it will pop up on this list. Okay? And your recent is going to be basically what you just recently done. So in this case, my promo is what I recently did. Okay? Okay, my trial balance is what I recently did. Okay? My general ledger as well as my profit and loss based on class, right? It gave me a track record of what I did in case I don't remember what I did last. Okay, it shows me right there. And again, contributed is basically what you shared with others. Okay, so there you go. That's what you can do for reports. You can customize a report. You can do whatever you'd like on that report. Okay. So we're kind of running almost out of time here. So what else can you do with reports if you're done customizing them? Well, you can even create graphs. Okay. Now, the extent of creating graphs isn't that great, okay? It's not like you can select your colors and choose what kind of graph you want to make. But in this case, right, let's take a look at my report center once again, and we're going to go to sales, okay, under standard, and take a look at sales. Now, if you scroll down, right, you're going to get graphs like this, okay? Let's go ahead and run this graph real quick. So let me change the time frame on that too. I want my time frame to be, so here's my graph. I want my time frame to be January 2022. No, I don't want 2022. I want 2021. Okay. And then I guess we can do it from today. Okay, let's just say. All right, and let's run this report. So this is what my records tell me, right? And this is the graphs that you can take a look at. Now, as far as customizing them, you cannot customize the color. So, unfortunately, you're given whatever you're given in here. You can't make any changes. So, in this case, you're very limited to what you can do. But in this case, it does a quick graph for you. You don't have to do anything. Okay? And this is where exporting to Excel allows you to customize it the colors you want to see. Because, I mean, this green and this yellow can be very bright, very bright. It's not very easy on the eyes. So you might want to change it to colors that are a lot more softer, or at least, colors that are either complementary or whatever. Okay? You can customize the colors through Excel. Okay? But once you customize it through Excel, you cannot import it back in here. It will not recognize it and it will not read it. So you can only export and make further customizations. But these are the graphs that you can do. And look at this. We can even use the quick zoom feature. So for example, right, I want to know what this red chunk is. If I click on this red chunk, right, if this graph doesn't tell you, right, the indoor photo sessions, right, if I double click on that red section here, it will show me a bar graph for more details on what that sale was for the indoor photograph. So as you can see, we did mostly our sales in January and February, okay, of 2021. And this is what it tells you. It's about approximately $700, give or take. Okay. So that's what you can do here. So you can do graphs. This is great for when you do your annual reports meeting, summary about the company. You can have this graph, and if you don't like it, you can choose Excel to further customize it, or if you're just trying to do a quick overview for the president, that's all you can do. Simple, quick, and easy, and it does it for you. Okay? All right, so we talked about memorized reports, okay, and we talked about reports graph, and last but not least, processing multiple reports. Yes, if you want to, let's say you are doing your annual financial budget review, right? You can process as many reports as you'd like. So if I click on reports, there's only one way to be able to do this. You have to go to reports on your list, and you have to click on process multiple reports. So here it gives you a guideline. Let's say I want to do all of these, okay? If you have your multiple windows setting available, right? So I'm selecting a whole bunch of them. And I go ahead and click, I got to set the date too. So I want all reports, okay? From, right? I want it from these dates to these dates. That's fine. I'm just going to leave it the way it is. And I'm going to go ahead and click display. So if you have your multiple windows reports viewing on, it's going to create all your windows one at a time. So here, first one here is going to be my Imagine Photography Bank Reconciliation chapter. Okay, I think that's just the title for the vendor balance detail. All right. And I also have one for the unpaid bills. Okay. So again, if you're having your financial meeting, you can go ahead and process multiple reports and have it all displayed right here on one screen, and you can just walk it one at a time through each one. Now, yes, you can also select your memorized reports as well if you want it to save the formatting that we had it before. You can also process those ones too, and it will populate as well. Okay, so here's my AP aging. So basically that's my report on how often I make payments to my accounts payable, okay, and payroll liability. So again, you're going to have a lot of reports that you can choose for and be able to process them, okay? All right. Okay. Any questions in regards to Chapter 6? That is the last thing on Chapter 6. Any questions? Yes.
So if we want to make a new customer list,
Mm-hmm.
then we just need to make a new customer list. not rememorizing what we had. Right.
Correct. So if let's say you want to start all over, right? You want to create a new list. You just go to
Yeah.
your reports, go to list, and just create
Yeah.
another customer contact list, and then go from there and customize it how you want this customer list to look like.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and if let's say you already memorized this report and you want to make minor changes to it, you just change it, click memorize, and it will just save exactly what you just made the changes to.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
That was a lot.
It is a lot, but at the end of the day, reports is going to be, it is, reports is actually going to be one of your largest sections that you're going to be dealing with in QuickBooks. But this chapter is very, very short. It's only about 20 pages long. There's only so much I can show you what you can do, right? I can further customize a report if I'd like, but at the end of the day, there's so much that you can do on here. It's just a matter of fact of rinse and repeating and understanding what each report does. So that's the huge thing about knowing the difference between what reports do and what they do for your company is it answers a specific question that you have about the company, right? Do you want to know if your company's making a profit or loss? If so, do you want it segregated by class, by job, by customer? Okay, or make it by so in this case by you could do a summary report on your or your standard profit and loss, so it doesn't matter what it is, it's just a generalization. You can do that as well. Okay, so at the end of the day, it's just every report that you create answers a specific question that you have about the company. So yes, it's a lot of information, but at the end of the day, this is only 20 pages worth of reading material. What can you really do in 20 pages? Okay. Any other questions? All right. Let's go ahead and spend the next 15 minutes or so, or 10 minutes, to just go over the review questions. So once again, your job is to select the best answers for each of the following. Okay? Number 1, what are the 2 main types of reports in QuickBooks?
C.
Letter C, accounting and business management. That's correct. Okay. Number 2, okay, when you use the customized reports button on the report to A, right? You're going to use it to add or delete columns or change the accounting basis, okay? The accounting basis, whether it's cash or accrual basis, okay? Let's see, B, change the width of the columns and on the report. No, you can't do that. So as I mentioned before, right? Whatever appears on your list is it. You have to print it that way, so if you want to fix that, you would have to further customize it through Excel. Okay? Print the report on a blank piece of paper. Is that what a customizing report does? To print it on a blank piece of paper? I sure hope you can do more than that. And of course, D is to memorize the report for future use. That's what you can do after customizing it. If you want to save it, yes. But is customizing the report going to memorize the report? No. Okay. Number 3, okay? You cannot create a quick report for
D. D.
Letter D is correct for inaccurately posted entries, right? We already talked about if it must fit in those 4 categories, right? Customers is part of the list. Vendors is also part of the list. Items is part of the list as well. So in this case, inaccurately posted entries. How would QuickBooks know that you posted something inaccurately. Only you would know that because you're the one who posted it, right? QuickBooks cannot defer that, right? It's a program. You tell a program what to do, it will do it wrong if you insert it in wrong, right? There's no way it will know whether a transaction is right or wrong. Okay? Number 4, to create a report that lists each of your vendors and along with the with their addresses and telephone number information, what would you do?
A.
You would go ahead and display the vendor contact list, right? So very similar to the vendor contact list is very similar to the customer contact list, right? Except the only difference is the vendor versus customer. So in this case, letter A is correct. Number 5, okay? In order to analyze the profitability of your company, you should
B.
well,
B?
B as in
B.
boy.
Yes.
B as
Yes.
in boy is correct, right? You're going to create a profit and loss report, right? Profitability should automatically give you an idea that you're going to be doing a profit and loss. Okay? No other report can test for profitability. Number 6, which statement is false? You may analyze your income and expenses for a given period.
My vendor? C?
Number 6, C is true. By vendor. Okay. So which statement is false, right? You cannot do a income based on vendor, right? Your vendors is your payables. It's your expenses, not your income. Okay? But it says income and expenses for a given period of time. Now, in this case, your vendor itself isn't going to give you the exact expense either, right? Because it's your people. It's the people that you involve in that. They're more of accounts payable than it is for an expense. Expense is going to be whatever you've done with that vendor, right? So something that you can do is by class, right? Because by class, you could tell what was the income versus the expenses based on the store location. By job, right? Who was the customer that you assigned this income and this expense to? Okay? And of course, for the whole business, yes, you can figure that out, right? That's what the profit and loss does. It's for the whole entire business. But you wouldn't do it necessarily for just a vendor. Number 7, which report allows monies to be owed to your company by customers?
That's the balance sheet. A.
B.
Collections is only if it's past due.
Mm.
And accounts
Collections.
payable is what we owe.
Correct.
I'm sticking with B.
Okay, so number 7, the question is asking which report shows monies owed to your company.
You're owed to the company.
Owed to the company, correct.
Wouldn't it also show on the balance sheet as accounts receivable?
Yes, it would. But maybe this question is asking for strictly only seeing just the money owed to the company. So B would be the correct answer. It is the collections report because, right, that's your account receivable right there. Collections report doesn't necessarily means that if it's past due or not. It's just how much money you're collecting overall. Okay. You wouldn't do an accounts payable, and you wouldn't do a daily charges report. That makes no sense. But a balance sheet tests the accounting equation. It tests for all your assets, all your liabilities. So in this case, this question is only showing me the money that people owe me, not everything. Okay?
So this is an overthinking one then.
Correct. I mean, if give or take, that would be the second choice. Okay. Number 8. In order to modify the header and footer of your report,
D.
B as in boy, you said?
D as in dog.
D as in dog is correct, right? You would click on the customize report button and then click on the headers and footers tab. Yes. Okay. To customize the header and footer, right? Straightforward. Number 9. Okay, processing multiple reports allows you to
B.
B as in boy or D as in dog.
B as in boy.
B as in boy, organize the memorized report list into groups of related reports. Number 9. Yes, it does allow you to do that. Now, again, it also allows you to process multiple reports based on a category. So remember, if you remember, I did mention this. You can even process multiple reports based on your memorized group tab. I did say that. So, letter B is correct. Number 10. The profit and loss report shows which of the following?
C.
Let's see, number 10. C, right? Income, cost of goods sold, expenses, other income, and other expenses. That is correct, right? The profit and loss. What the goal is, we're trying to see, does the overall amount of income that you generate cover all of the expenses that you had to spend in order to operate the business? That is profitability. Okay? Does the amount of money that you earn surpass the amount of money that you spent to operate your business? Is the goal of profitability. Are you making more than what you spend? Okay. Number 11. If the profit and loss by class report has an unclassified column,
That be D as in dog.
D is in dog, meaning some of the transactions for the period were not assigned to a class. Yes. Okay. Oftentimes, right, when you have set class tracking, like if you see, if I'm going through a transaction really quick, there's sometimes I might end up forgetting to tag a account or tag an item to a specific class. It happens, okay? Now, can you edit that information to be able to further categorize it? Yes, and we will learn that in chapter 14, okay? When we do our adjustment entries. Yes, you can add a class or transfer between classes. Yes, you can. But you can also edit the information at any given time in case you do forget a class. You can go through all your transactions and recategorize them. Okay? So yes, you can do that. Number 12. You can export reports to
A.
Microsoft Excel. Yes. You wouldn't necessarily do Microsoft Word, okay? It's not only it's because the thing about Excel is it's very similar to QuickBooks, right? It's in regards to spreadsheets or in data, right? Each item fills up one box, right? In a little data window. So again, Excel is best for that feature. If you can copy your Excel spreadsheets to a Word document, but at the end of the day, it would defeat the purpose of why you have a table in the first place. So it will not be able to do it for Microsoft Word. Okay. Other accounting softwares. No, you cannot export to other accounting softwares. However, fun fact, you can import from other accounting software. So, for example, you have something like Peachtree. You can import things and have it convert to a QuickBooks document. Yes, you can. You can import, yes, but you cannot export it back out. Okay? So that's something that you should keep in mind. Okay, and then D, you cannot export reports. Yes, you can. For further customizations, yes, you can to Excel. All right. Number 13. Okay, which is a feature of Filters tab on the Modify Reports window.
A.
Letter A is correct, right? Allows you to filters, allows you to select a column on a report so that you can analyze specific areas. So again, if you categorize or you separate your whoever what the feature is. So let's say for example customers. Yes, you can filter them based on whether they have an email address, right? You can filter them based on their telephone, based on what city they belong to. You can filter the information like that. So
13 is A.
13 is A, yes. 13, hold on. 12 is A, Microsoft Excel. 13, let's see, filters. Okay, C, filters allow you to choose specific accounts, dates, names, or items that you can include on a report. Okay, so sorry. I looked at the
13 is
wrong one.
C.
13 is C. You're going to use that to filter them based on a specific detail. So whether it's a name, a date, a class, etc., etc. So sorry. So it's not A, it's C for 13. Okay. Almost done, guys. Number 14. To modify which columns are displayed on a report, click Customize Reports and then click the names of the columns to be displayed on the blank.
D.
Which tab?
D. D as in dog.
D as in dog. Fonts and numbers. Okay, so in this case, fonts and numbers only allow you to change what they look like, right? Changing
B. It's B.
B as in boy, display tab. Excellent. Yes. Headers and footers, basically, do you want to have this title on the report or not? Okay, so but displaying is what do you want to show? So for example, the columns, right? If I want to select Mr. and Mrs., right? First name, last name. If I want that to display, I can select those columns. Headers and footers is only going to show you what kind of title you want to put on there. Okay? Filters tab, once again, basically based on what kind of criteria you're looking for based on the criteria. And then, of course, fonts and numbers allow you to change what it looks like. Okay? Last question of the day, number 15. The fit report to one page, okay, wide feature does which one of the following? C. It will produce the font sizes of the report so that it can fit the size of one piece of paper. So straightforward. I don't know. So this is for when you are saving or sending or emailing documents over. This is very useful as a customization because if, let's say, you are sending this over via email, you definitely want to make sure all the details are gonna on that report fit on a piece of paper. So then when you send it to your coworker or your boss, they can simply just print it out on a regular piece of paper and not have to worry about rearranging or shrinking the font size to fit. Okay, because it's going to automatically do it for you if you select this fit to one page option. Okay, was that a question? Someone ding? Did someone ding? No, that wasn't a question.
No dinging.
No dinging. Okay, excellent, everybody. It is exactly 4:53 here, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording. So again, anybody